A University of Melbourne researcher is using her knowledge of gifted children in their formative educational years to help better inform and teach these bright youngsters. During her study, Dr. Anne Grant, a former preschool teacher, followed the lives of 7 gifted children for one full academic year in Melbourne, watching them interact and integrate into preschool and prep. She also talked with parents and teachers to gain a full understanding of how gifted children manage and integrate in their first years of formal education.
We know that all the early learning is very influential on children's later experiences, and particularly their experiences of learning in what we call a formal learning environment, so that we include preschool and the beginning of school in that. So my study was to look at what happens with very young gifted children when they come into a formal learning environment, preschool or the prep grade. Do their characteristic behaviours, because we know they have characteristic behaviours, do these help them or do they hinder them?
Associate Professor of Exceptional Learning at the Melbourne Graduate School of Education, John Munro, says there are many challenges gifted children face when entering their first years of formal education.
Gifted students, young students as well as older students, often experience difficulties when they do need to move from one situation to another. It's important for a gifted child that they know that their knowledge, their way of seeing the world is respected and is valued, and that they can trust others to use and see their knowledge in ways that will really help the other person understand their identity.
There are many issues for parents and teachers dealing with gifted children's learning. Some teachers don't recognise they have any gifted children among their cohort or don't have the resources to deal with them, while parents feel there is a stigma attached to labelling their child as gifted and often don't tell educators they are dealing with a gifted child.
The parents that I had been talking to early on were finding that their children were not integrating into school at that point well, and they were understandably upset that here was a child they knew was a good learner and was bright and curious and interested, and that school just wasn't working. Identification is important, and the extent to which they're advanced is important to know.
A lot of the gifted children really find things very hard if their teachers don't understand in a holistic way how gifted individuals go about learning.
One of the issues with gifted children and learning is that they often act out their frustrations due to boredom by crying or behaving oddly because they don't have the maturity to deal with issues in any other way.
Some of the children will actually disengage from the learning situation. They'll experience a good deal of inner stress, and they actually won't engage in the learning situation. The greatest challenge to accommodating gifted children successfully in regular classrooms is the teacher's total professional knowledge, their conceptual knowledge of the topic, their attitude and disposition towards handling that knowledge, and their preparedness to validate what every child in the class, in the group, knows at that point.